Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat here. I'm today to cover Toonami's ratings from August 14th, 2021. However, first, the ratings from the previous Saturday, August 7th, have come out. That's the Harley Quinn marathon. So I just want to briefly go over it quickly before going to the real meat of the video, which I think is pretty interesting. So without further ado, the ratings for the Harley Quinn episodes are in as follows: 0.13, 0.14, 0.16, 0.16, 0.17, 0.14, 0.14, 0.12, 0.10, 0.11, 0.10, 0.10, 0.10. So this was kind of like how I thought it was from the data we got, that the very first episode was only 0.13, but like by midnight it got up to like a 0.16, 0.17. Two things are plausible. One, the Poppy music video that was promoted for Midnight was actually pretty well promoted relative to Toonami standards for music videos. Usually for Toonami, they just like put the music video in and don't tell anyone it's going on until it's on. So there might have been some buzz for that. And the fact that almost the exact opposite explanation, there was very little promotion for this specific marathon. So a lot of people tuned in at midnight expecting to see Deku's face, but instead got Harley Quinn. So that explains why the ratings at midnight, that hour, were the highest, because people tuned in and then they saw it and maybe thought, like, oh, okay, maybe this is like a special one episode event, or thinking, okay, maybe they changed the lineup and this Harley Quinn show's now on Toonami. And then after that, when they see a promo for another episode of Harley Quinn, like, oh, it's just a marathon, we'll go back next week. That's probably what led to it, especially since the ratings went back down to a 0.10 by the end of the night. But for overall, for marathon standards, this is actually pretty good. The total viewership is at times dipped. I'm not dipped. It got over 400,000, which Toonami doesn't do that often anymore, including a bit of a spoiler. This week's ratings, he never hit that number, which is notable considering that was Fena Pirate Princess's debut. So, with that out of the way, let's now actually get into Fena Pirate Princess and, the rest of the whole Toonami gang here. So, the ratings from August 14th, 2021. Here we go. At the top of the block, we have Fena Pirate Princess at a 0.20. And we have Fena Pirate Princess at a 0.14. And My Hero Academia at a 0.14. Yashahime at a number not yet given. More on that in a moment. Black Clover at a 0.06. Naruto Shippuden at a 0.06. And Attack on Titan and Dragon Ball Super reruns have no numbers out yet. So let's just go at this piece by piece here. And do it the whole time. I'm just going to show you the actual card, the actual ratings. So kind of help go through this. So okay, if you look at this in a nutshell, if you look at this in a vacuum and see that 0.20 for Fena Pirate Princess, for the first episode, you might think, well, that's not that bad. It's better than most Toonami premieres right now. My Hero Academia has kind of hit this thing where it's kind of yo-yos between like a 0.17 and a 0.19. So you hit that point 0.2 threshold. That's great. It does better than that. And maybe it helps Toonami recoup some of the money from this. And like I said, that was my benchmark. That was my lowest benchmark for arguing that Fena Pirate Princess's success is if the first episode can hit that 0.20, and if it can maintain that, that ended up being a huge asterisk, which didn't end up so well because the next episode of Fena Pirate Princess at 12:30 only got a 0.14, dropping 6/100ths of a point. This is very uncommon, especially for doubling up the same show. We almost never see this in marathons, and there's many explanations for this. The explanation that's very tempting and perhaps the most obvious is saying people watch Fena Pirate Princess, watched the first episode, and a sizable quantity of the people just tuned out. They just didn't like it and just didn't watch the next episode. And that's the scary one because that implies they're never coming back. And if your ceiling ends up being around a 0.14 for a show that you have extra stakes in because it's a Toonami Adult Swim, Crunchyroll, Production IG original, that's scary because, like I said, you can't just afford this to end up being like a Black Clover or a Yashahime. This has to perform well. You have more investment in this. But the more favorable possible explanations are that how this was not well promoted, and maybe a number of people thought tonight was just going to be one episode. They didn't know it was a 1 hour premiere. And that's still kind of scary because you have the people come back at midnight next week, see that they're already on the boat, and see that the characters are acting as if there's stuff that they hadn't seen yet because so too happened, and they're going to be confused. And usually when people are confused, they just tune out. Yeah. So, yeah. So And that's still a pretty scary explanation because, again, that also implies the ceiling doesn't deviate much from a 0.14. And yeah, you can see with the rank here. The rank here, this is for how it ranked among all Saturday cable new programs. Fena Pirate Princess, the first episode getting a 7th was actually really good, considering that the rest of the top 6 ahead of it were all NFL related. And if you know TV, if you know ratings, you know that sports are king. If you have a live sporting event, it's gonna do much better than scripted TV. So 7th is not that bad. And then but the thing is, it drops right to 21st for the second episode of the same show. And more evidence that it's perhaps Fena Pirate Princess. Fena Pirate Princess, sorry, that's going to be a tongue twister. Fault is the fact that My Hero Academia also got a 0.14 and, in fact, was just ranked behind it in 22nd place, which means that if you stuck through the second episode of Fena Pirate Princess, it was a near guarantee you were watching the My Hero Academia episode afterwards, which strongly implies that a number of the people watching the second episode of Fena Pirate Princess weren't watching it for Fena. They were watching it because they wanted to make sure they are there in time for My Hero Academia, which makes it even more damning because that implies that the retention is actually a bit lower, which is a scary thought. And now into Yashahime. Yeah, Spoiler TV did not list it, even though it was a new episode and it did air Saturday night. And I think it was the Cartoon Network schedules on Twitter posted the total viewership. That's how I have the 186 number. 186,000, by the way. These are in thousands. Toonami's really bad if only 300 people are total are watching, but yeah, and again, it's just been this weird. And you can draw between the lines here with the total viewership being closer to Black Clover than My Hero Academia. The rating was probably around a point 0.1, probably a 0.09, which not good, you know. Yashahime has been a weird yo-yo. It's gone from being horrible to absolutely amazing ratings, and I can't get a good read on it. And then now you have Black Clover and Naruto Shippuden. 0.06. You hate to see that. That's probably the absolute lowest number that Black Clover's gotten. I think Shippuden's hit 0.06 a couple times. And you can see here the rank 83rd and 84th. It's usually pretty rare that a Tommy show is outside like the top 60 or so that's not good. And 144,000 is just not a good number to get. And again, we don't have Attack on Titan Dragon Ball Super numbers, so you can't really tell what it does from there. But overall, this I think is a more of a bad week than a good week because, like you said, when you go to 0.2 to 0.14, quick math, that implies that out of the 18 to 49 viewership range, 30%, actually greater than 30%, if you take into account people tuning in for My Hero Academia, watch Fena Pirate Princess, and we're like, I'm just gonna tune out now, you know. And again, and I mentioned in my video covering Fena Pirate Princess a couple of reasons why people might just tune out of it. Most notably, the weird way they begin that first episode and just Fena as a character. And I could definitely see people just being turned off by that. What do you guys think? What's your thought on these ratings? Do you think Fena Pirate Princess turns the ship right around next week? Pun definitely intended there, and gets a better rating and holds up better as the lead off show on the block. It will be at midnight. My Hero Academia will follow. Do you think it does well? Do you think it can get out of that 0.14, get something better? Leave your comments, leave your opinions down below. I am the Super Orange Cat, and that is all.